Hey guys, Level Cap here, and welcome to This Week in Gaming, your weekly news recap on everything going on in the world of video games. This week was a huge success for Battlefield with a massive beta. PC gamers might finally get some upgrades worth paying for, a Horizon copycat is feeling the heat of a Sony lawsuit, and much more. The early access closed beta that launched yesterday blew past peak concurrent player counts of 330,000 players, and once the beta opens for everyone tomorrow, that number could skyrocket further. Compared to previous Battlefield games on Steam at least, the BF6 beta more than doubled the next most popular title in the franchise. Now of course these numbers only reflect the Steam player base, and we don't have numbers from say BF1, which didn't launch on Steam, which most likely had much bigger numbers than this, but it's still cool to see the Steam stats since the EA app never let us see any of that data. In general, these numbers and the positive sentiment from critics and players alike are painting a very promising picture for Battlefield 6. Assuming DICE can stick the landing and deliver a polished day one experience with a robust live service content pipeline, we may be looking at a major return from the Battlefield franchise. It's been a long time, but Battlefield might actually be back. Now, all that said, the beta isn't perfect. There's a list of known issues including crashes, matchmaking failures, gameplay bugs, and more. There's also apparently cheats that are available and working in the beta. There's also a little bit of controversy around the aspect of DICE filling lobbies with bots that are not full. I'm really curious to see if DICE can stay on top of the cheats this time around, because with such large game modes like 64 players, it only takes one cheater to ruin the experience for everyone, so they really have a tough task cut out for them, but I wish them luck. Of course, stay tuned to the channel for more Battlefield 6 coverage, as I have been playing the heck out of the beta and have got a lot more to talk about. An industry insider claims Nvidia will start slashing their pricing by the end of this month due to poor sales and overabundance of supply. Nvidia apparently overstocked, with sales in both retail and wholesale markets missing projections by enough to warrant the price cuts. It's unclear how dramatic these cuts will be. However, the leak has been out in the wild since late July, which is when the cuts were supposed to start rolling out. But so far, we haven't seen many major price drops. That said, we could start seeing them this month as Nvidia price cuts ripple down to vendors and stores, assuming they're even real. So I would say don't necessarily get your hopes up, but keep your ears perked for any sort of GPU sales. It sounds like Tencent is running scared thanks to a lawsuit filed by Sony over the similarities between the Horizon franchise and Tencent's upcoming open world title, Light of Materum. The game was originally a pitch by Tencent to license Horizon's IP for a spin-off game set in Asia, which Sony passed on. The similarities between the two games are absolutely insane, with the world, enemies, characters looking like they were just directly ripped out of the Horizon franchise. In the wake of Sony's lawsuit, Tencent has edited Light of Materum's Steam page, changing the description to avoid mention of mechanized wildlife. They also changed the available screenshots to ones that bear less of a resemblance to the Horizon games. I'm really hopeful that this Sony lawsuit will prevail in their favor, as video game intellectual property laws have been extremely lax since basically ever, and it could set a nice precedent to protect the intellectual property of smaller studios that maybe don't have Sony's dollars to go and fight the big corporations. Free-to-play action RPG Genshin Impact won't be playable on PlayStation 4 for much longer. The game's developer MiHoYo announced this week that they're winding down support for the last-gen consoles due to hardware limitations. It'll be removed from the PS4 store on September 10th this year. Starting in February next year, in-game purchases will be disabled, and all updated support will end on April 8th, 2026, rendering the game unplayable. Genshin has over 124 million users just on Sony's consoles, and it just recently saw more players on PlayStation 5 compared to its existing PlayStation 4 player base. And it only recently saw more players on PlayStation 5 compared to its existing PlayStation 4 player base, which makes this dropping of support feel maybe a little premature, but at the end of the day, they're the studio with all the numbers, so hopefully this is the right decision. Microsoft Flight Sim 2024 is getting an official Jurassic World DLC that'll add a new archipelago to the game with multiple species of dinosaurs to observe as you fly around. The DLC will offer unique missions that take players on a tour of the new content. The locations include multiple areas from the various Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies. It'll launch later this month. Bungie's days seem to be numbered, as Sony is slowly integrating the studio into PlayStation Studios. Sony's CFO said during a recent investor call that the type of independence Bungie had is getting lighter. Since being acquired by Sony for $3.6 billion in 2022, Bungie has seen a sharp decline in revenue from their Destiny franchise. Sony's CFO says Bungie's role is shifting to become more a part of PlayStation Studios. This is Sony's in-house collection of developers like Naughty Dog and Santa Monica Studio. As far as Marathon is concerned, Sony is still adamant that the game is launching within the fiscal year despite an indefinite delay to address player feedback following the game's disappointing alpha. One of Starfield's most annoying limitations may finally be getting a major improvement. Data miners have discovered bits of code in the game that suggest a cruise mode is coming in a future update that'll let players fly directly from one planet to another within a system. Currently, all spaceflight is limited to randomly generated and limited areas around a planet that act more like random encounter zones than an actual space where you can travel. Cruise mode won't let you fly down to a planet's surface like Star Citizen or No Man's Sky, but being able to actually use your spaceship to traverse, well, space sounds like a big improvement. The game's next expansion is likely launching in 2026, so cruise mode will probably be one of its headlining features. At this year's Quakecon, we got some exciting updates about Doom. Doom The Dark Ages Update 2 will be a huge addition that adds a horde mode, campaign rebalance, and a big quality of life feature that lets you disable the slow-mo effects on parries and melees. Meanwhile, the official mod support has been released for Doom Eternal on Steam. Night Dive also announced during the event that there will be a re-release for the iconic 90s boomer shooter Hexen and Heretic. These are foundational games in the Doom clone boom of the mid-90s that introduced novel mechanics, enhanced map design, and a larger focus on narrative content. The re-releases are the first official console ports of the game in several years, while also updating the official PC versions with modern features like proper widescreen support, rebalanced gameplay, new levels, and much more. Basically, if you never played either of those games, this will be the best way to go back and check them out. And if you're a longtime fan, this is one of the easiest ways to get back into them, and there's going to be plenty of small changes. Now, that wraps it up for this week in gaming's news coverage. Obviously, I'm going to be covering a lot more Battlefield, and if you missed my initial impressions of the Battlefield beta experience, check out that video here. Also, there's a whole hour and 45-minute long podcast with me and Matimio discussing Battlefield 6 as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.